draft. I do believe I got word that Alpha is going to be on red side once again. AHQ going to be on the blue side as we jump right on in.
For AHQ, do they ban the same 3 champions, Rek'Sai, LeBlanc, Lee Sin, just for this particular match? Because what are your other options if Alpha wants to default for that usual high aggressive, especially at the first 10-minute mark? What are your strong level 3s? If Alpha wants to play that, they have to pick the jungle as early as they can, or else it'll just be dwindled out by the second phase of banning.
So let's see here, we have Elisin also getting banned out, again targeted toward Catchug in the jungle. Alpha still have to remain on the same bans as we usually see. The Aphelios and likely the Callista going to be banned out here for their first 2 bans, and then maybe they try and, locate a different banner. We're going to try and keep everything the same here.
I wonder if they ban out Misfortune here, because you give away either the Senna, but you still get to keep the Varus, at least for Atlan. I guess it just depends whether or not they're going to be comfy with that, because if they do at least get that Varus, it's a little bit flexible when it comes to what build you can do. Either you're aiming for the auto late game or a really big burst with a piercing arrow build, but looks like HQ will go back to this Misfortune as it is open for the taking.
So there you go, Misfortune going to get locked in. Alpha, so much priority on this Nautilus, though, in this series so far, and across a lot of their playoff series in general. They always try and get Kino this champion when they can, so I don't know if the priority should always be directly onto him, but nonetheless, it does get locked in, as it seems the rest of the team is going to shape around him, mainly toward, of course, Assassin and Catchog and what they plan on taking here. Like you mentioned, a Varus I think would be a good pickup for Atlan. It provides utility and it allows him to kind of stay equal in the lane against Misfortune if he does decide to go the lethality route.
Yeah, exactly. And it really matches that early, at least that mid-game pressure. When you fight around the dragon, you have a huge amount of poke. For HQ though, if they do lock this in, this is one of, I suppose, I wouldn't really say one of the weaker jungle pickups, but you know what? They're going back to this Leona. It works well considering that is a low mobility champion once again in the AD carry position.
Okay.
Uniboy on the Zoe again.
So they're going to go with the same kind of draft though what we saw in game 1 as the Leona and Zoe getting locked in. Here for Catchug though, we're seeing a bit of a change up here. Are we going more of a team fight focused team member here from Catchug? Is this actually going to get locked in with the Jarvan? It will.
It will. It works well because it's a strong level 3 jungle. You can easily access the backline with your flag and drag into a Cataclysm. So you're forcing the backline to consume a flash to escape that. And it actually also is a good takeaway away from Kongye as well, since he's been playing that a number of times in the PCS.
Well, let's see here. So now we go into our second round of bans as the Akali actually being banned out here. I don't know if that's a pocket pickup for Civ or maybe it was a misclick. Who knows, as we're going to be punted out of the champion select anyway.
Actually, yeah.
I was like, who's the Akali ban for? I'm like, Civ? Does Civ have a secret Akali that he's been, keeping on under wraps this entire split?
Yeah, because Ziv, I mean, okay, there was this one surprise pick, which is the Vlad, so perhaps they managed to at least maybe scout information. But yeah, there's no record of Ziv playing maybe even a Sylas top or a Kali top, not yet. For Uniboy, already secured his 8th play on this Zoe once again. But yeah, I wonder how this draft is gonna go.
Yeah, so just getting word too. It also looks like apparently there was a connection issue with one of the Alpha members, so they're just gonna go ahead and sort that out. So we'll be on kind of waiting here to see what's gonna happen with this draft. Again, we are getting to see Catchug on now something a little bit more team fight focused, especially when you pair up with, say, the Varus. You have a nice little combo right there with the Cataclysm lockdown into the Varus ultimate to really try and lock down, say, the Zoe or this Misfortune. Especially when you're going to have a Leona that's trying to, get on top of you with the Solar Flare on the backline.
And I think with this draft in particular, Alpha is now playing to deny, considering that we've seen a lot of the hot combo without the rumble, the bullet time into the Cataclysm. And yeah, you're right, it's perfect for that Solar Flare. And perhaps maybe this is the reason why, Alpha took that Jarvan too, is that they're most likely maybe a low mobility champion in the mid lane too for Assassin. So now at least they can play around that, since considering Univoy already revealed what he's going to pick.
Oh!
So perhaps that's going to be a Corki.
Okay, it's also not going to be a Cat Jug Jarvan. I think it was actually a graphics mess up there. So the Jarvan is actually banned out alongside the Trundle. It looks like the Akali actually was banned out by AHQ, targeting toward Rock possibly up in the top lanes. That does mean now the Olaf is available here for Kongyu if he wants to pick that one up, as well as Civ going to be on a Mordekaiser, so a little bit more of that frontline threat going up against Alpha is now final pick being decided here for the side of Alpha.
Do they pick up the Elise here? Elise is open. Nah, I mean, it did work well for AHQ when this was on Kongyu's side, but it's just one of those things where, will this work? Because you have too many damage dealers already. You need Peel, and if they do lock this in, they're still deciding it's going to be the Echo instead.
All right, so we get an Echo lock-in, which is kind of one of Cat Jug's secret niche picks. He's shown it a couple times here, one of the only Echo jungles when it comes to the PCS. And all right, this is going to be your final composition for one of these squads. And I think on the side of Alpha, it's a bit of a change of pace. This is what kind of worked out well for them in the start of this series with like the Corki mid lane. Again, Assassin on something that's, allowed to scale and can go in for that massive burst damage with a dive onto the back line. But it's such a different change up from what we've seen throughout the normal regular season on the side of Alpha that it's shocking to see them try and, whip out this strategy once again in a do or die scenario.
And I'm actually surprised. I actually didn't see if the Trundle was banned, but I guess for Cat Jug, he will play more on making this Echo work rather than playing more on the matchup. But for now, I'm excited because this is a do or die situation, especially as AHQ managed to take this to game number 3. And Alpha, after that victory in game number 1, how will you be able to get energy from that victory?
It's do or die here. We could easily see the second ranked team in the PCS after the regular season of AHQ be eliminated here within the next hour up against Alpha eSports, who again were the most coin flip team when it came to the PCS. Whether or not they were going to win or not usually came down to a 50-50 most of the time. And there were opportunities where they weren't actually going to find themselves in this scenario. They almost were able to continue through the upper bracket. But it was last-second decision-making, panicked decision-making that ended up costing them everything. And my question is for this squad coming into Game 3, are you going to be able to contain yourselves? Are you going to be able to keep yourselves composed? Or are we going to see the panic that we've once seen before?
Yeah, the pressure is building as for Alpha, unfortunately, unable to sort of make it work when they faced against Berjaya at the 3rd game in the upper bracket. And therefore, they are faced against another familiar scenario, taking this series into game number 3. And it seems to me that their approach in the draft is quite standard. This is the usual that Alpha likes to play, and allowing Cat Jug to make early game plays. But we'll see whether or not that's going to work, because Kongye is going to match that as well because of this Olaf pick in the early game.
We'll see. It's going to be a topside start for both of the jungles. Cat Jug, instead of going the Dark Harvest that we sometimes see him actually use on the Echo, has opted in for the Hail of Blades. So try to get that quick 1-2-3 off his passive with the phase dive to get that upfront burst damage. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering as well, if there's multiple stacks when it comes to grouped up fights, then you can easily apply more and pop that a little bit more on that 3rd auto. And for Cat Jug, really strong level 3, but unfortunately for CC wise, Ysera is definitely going to be that really scary threat when he decides to dive in later on.
Level 2, hit down on the bot lane, piercing arrow, not going to connect it, so that's not going to be able to get a cheap straight shot right away off the top there is CatJug juggling his jungle camps right now, able to do a pretty fast clear actually on this Echo as Kongye still just looking to do a complete full clear of his side of the map here as he's gone every camp and now onto his red.
Yeah, meanwhile for the side of CatJug, I'll leave his Krugs and Raptors a little bit more. As for lane-wise though, it is going to be a little bit tough for Assassin, I assume during the early game. Pre-level 6 rather. And it'll get better definitely for once he reaches those rockets, especially that will be used to poke and wave clear as well. Nicely done trade. Actually a Raz coming from Rock. No trade whatsoever coming from Civ.
See, Solar Flare not even available, but Xenoblade is, and gets on top of Atlan. Kino though able to interrupt that immediately. As Kongye is nearby, he is spotted out on the ward, so Alpha have an idea of where this Olaf is starting to path, and already getting a lot of pressure over toward the Scuttle Crab area as it has spawned, and it's going to allow AHQ to have a little bit more control toward the bot side of the map here to open up game 3.
What I'm worried about CatJug's particular pick is that it's not like a Rek'Sai where you can get easy ganks, or probably a Gragas where you have that reliable CC to work with. And now he might make his first visit at top.
That's a teleport coming out, and that's going to be 3 members of Alpha looking for this dive. Rock is going to be the first one actually tanking up the tower, and he gets himself to safety as First Blood going on over to CatJug. A very nice dive coming out here from Alpha.
Nicely done, and it perfectly timed the back of Kongye as well. So he's not able to return anything off of the map, at least. So that was a temporary, that was a really nice dive coming from Alpha. Yeah. And let's take a look at this again. It was that teleport, that perfect back as well, that back timing. So we've seen this triple teleport before from Alpha, and unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize on that during the, I believe, the first game. So this is actually pretty good.
I saw there, unfortunately, Civ wasn't able to get a minion between him and Rock. If he was, may have been able to escape the Infernal Chain, but unfortunately, he also was flashing the long direction of the chain pull, so not able to get himself to safety, and that First Blood does go over to Alpha, and this is a very good sign to see from the composition early on, especially from CatJug, making a play happen, and not to have Rock be the first one to fall immediately too, which we've seen a couple times be a catalyst for the team to start to crumble in the early mid game if things don't go their way.
Yeah, and this is going to be a temporary lane swap till everyone manages to go back, considering that they're no stranger to the solid lane swaps for Alpha. But now it is going back to their respective lanes, as the first dragon will be acquired by AHQ, as Alpha's presence in the map, you know, still not ready to take on those early controls.
Not a whole lot of it, just kind of little peeks into the jungle of AHQ on the top side of the map, more or less just trying to give Rock a bit of safety so he doesn't get ganked here by Kongye, because that's a little bit of an easier lane for him to gank, and level 6 hit immediately here by Rock. Wants to get aggressive, trying to force a Ziv to go back. Infernal Chain does come back though. It forces Ziv to have to back off underneath his tower, and that might force a back out of the Mordekaiser.
And that means a wave is going to be denied, as Rock is going to try to clear this, or rather trying to balance the wave here, as Ziv will lose out on one whole wave. And you can see a little bit of help pings coming from Ziv, I suppose, as we can see Kongye making his way on top side. CatJug close to level 6 as well. And it's going to be enabling more dives for sure for Alpha.
And you can tell AHQ, they're feeling like something's up, because they've actually sent Uniboy up into the jungle, just trying to at least spot out whether or not Echo, this CatJug, is going to try and go for another dive here. Like you mentioned, still not level 6, so it's not the most optimal setup for the Echo, but nonetheless, it could be a possibility. It does look like, though, Civ will be able to at least keep himself safe. A nice arrow actually coming out there from Atlan, who has opted to actually go into the lethality build for the Varus to be able to take a bit of the harassment that's going to come out from the Misfortune.
And this is perfect. There's no send anymore for any sort of healing for those to survive any of the pokes later in the objective fights. Kong is spending a lot of time here, as Rock is not exactly pressing that go signal to trade with Ziv.
think it's a pretty big red light on the dashboard of Rock there when Civ is actually trying to get the grass back immediately, as Kongyu was waiting on nearby, but unfortunately not able to really do a whole lot there. He's going to go ahead and get the scuttle at least and go back into his jungle, keep farming here on this Olaf.
And for CatJug, he is already level 6. We are expecting a few dives here and there. Maybe a visit at bot side. There's no vision actually for AHQ to see this, but unfortunately, it's a little bit forward into the lane, so he will be spotted out by that control ward in the tri-brush if he does decide to make a visit.
CatJug back into his jungle. Isn't actually going to give over the blue buff to the Gorky. He wants to have that for himself. Tier is being stacked already here for Assassin. And this, again, may become a game where Assassin just isn't bothered at any point during this map. Unfortunately, like, the last time we saw this, especially Kongyu, as long as the Valkyrie is available for Assassin, there's never going to be really an opportunity for him to actually maybe help out with a kill with Uniboy, unless he's able to land a bubble, and he's even being spotted out here in the bot lane, so this just gives more info and safety over to Assassin.
Yeah, especially if the intention of the lane was for Alpha, or was for Assassin in general, not to trade, not to use Valkyrie in a very aggressive way. And with that said, it is going to be definitely difficult for Kongyu to make visits in the mid lane, so he will look into perhaps even trying to get that counter jungle against CatJug, which was the plan. That was supposed to happen in game number 1. We may see the same thing, but because of Atlan's decision for that lethality build, they can now contest early game objectives when it comes to the dragon fights for later. Maybe even the second Rift Herald.
Rock getting pushed in here underneath this tower. You did see CatJug was maybe considering to go for a possible play here. You have enchantments actually complete for both junglers, so I think now is where we're going to start to see a decent amount of actual action maybe possibly out of CatJug. As AHQ, first to roam with 5 members toward the top side of the map, able to get control over toward the Rift Herald. There is ward coverage though, so Ysera is actually spotted out here. He doesn't realize that there was a ward actually on the other side of the pit. Assassin going very far forward, going to get caught out. And why is the Corki that far forward into the fight? CatJug though, able to go into the back line and is able to secure the Rift Herald, but now, unfortunately, he can't get on top of the eye at this point. Has his ult available, but he doesn't even use it. And somehow, AHQ are able to deny this Rift Herald eye. Over the wall, Uniboy goes, trying to find another target here as Rock is trying to escape. Gets himself over the wall, and I actually don't know how Alpha didn't get that Rift Herald.
Oh, it was unfortunate because Assassin already had fallen. They were distracted. Oh, Atlan is forced to use a flash there. So that is a flash that will be important when the next dragon spawns. And that was... Again, Assassin, just as you mentioned, didn't need to be that far forward for either a Zenith Blade or a Flash Q from the Leona, and this was a 4v5 situation already. And because of the parallel convergence, it stunned off before the Ragnarok even popped off, so the Smite wasn't available. But unfortunately, yes, you deny that Rift Herald away from AHQ, but that's, again, the same situation that we've seen where AHQ got early game kills versus Alpha.
Yeah, I have to question what was going on in Assassin's head right there. He became frontline Corki, it seems. Not what you really want to be doing. He got caught out by a solar flare combo. At that point, he's just dead. He didn't even use his flash to try and get to safety or even extend his package. So Alpha felt maybe a little too confident heading into that fight, and they end up costing them a kill back in favor of AHQ. They aren't able to really trade anything back. They did at least deny Shelly from going over to AHQ as they were the ones to start it, so nothing lost other than the 1 kill. So I think they'll be happy as Kongyu is making a pathway down towards this bot lane. You see Wako and Ysera trying to be very aggressive here with their pathing, maybe trying to bait in Kino to possibly go for the hook. CatJug is nearby in the river. Will be spotted out there wide ward if he tries to go for it.
And there's another swap again by the by the mid and the top, as Rock will be facing off against Uniboy. He does have teleport though, and Assassin does not. So I suppose they really just want to swap it out and have Rock fight this dragon if ever.
Alpha, let's see. Solar Flare, is it going to be popped here by Ysera? Wasn't actually looking for the engage, it seems. Calling you just wanted to throw an axe. Mid lane is going to show the echo though, so we'll see if Kongyu wants to try and match that, or if they're going to try and set up a possible play here. Play going in immediately on Casino. Bullet time is there as well, but not enough damage. Chain of Corruption also lands. Wako is going to get knocked up immediately for a disengage. Not able to hit the piercing arrow on the side of Ysera, and that's going to be one he wants back. AHQ don't lose a member though.
Ketchuk already heading over this dragon pit, as Univoy will try to sneak in a little. I wonder if the package... Oh,
Exhaust coming out. Not able to finish off the kill, though, on Kino, as Kanye was looking for the Nautilus to get the kill. Ketchuk, though, already on to this dragon. And Rock, with a little bit of pressure in mid lane, is able to also help out with priority. And Kanye is not going to even try to test this one, it seems.
It's going to be one dragon apiece with nothing traded, as the piercing arrow will not connect. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good start. Well, pretty good decision for Alpha, managing to scare at least AHQ away and get control through that technique.
And luckily for them, it's also not going to be a Mountain or Ocean Soul when it comes to the overall game, where they're not going to have to worry about their poke being negated by just that natural regen or the possible shielding. If anything, an Infernal Soul might be even a plus for them. They'll be able to help take down some of these squishy members if they're caught out by just one ability. Turret plating is going to fall, as Alpha were the ones that able to at least track the most. When you take a look at everything across the map, 3 plates to 1. And gold is pretty much still dead even as we're getting close to the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, I feel like that Rift Herald deny was just such a good decision, good play to deny any sort of additional plates away from AHQ. And therefore, they're going to be dead even. And so far, you know, Manamune, at least for Assassin, is going to be building that up. Triforce will come after in the later parts of the game, rather. And Atlan at least does have that cleanse, so if ever Sarah decides to pull the trigger once more, he's gonna be a little bit safer.
See County is still staying in here toward the mid lane, trying to at least occupy a little bit of presence when it comes to the midsection of the map. Just wants to be a consistent threat here, possibly if they can catch Catjug roaming through the jungle. Go for a collapse here is Atlan, pretty far forward. He might get engaged upon if he's not careful. Saw there. The inflate is going to land into the bull time once again. Mako getting really liberal with the use there. Piercing arrow is going to land, but still not enough damage. Atlan able to get himself the cleanse immediately, and Catjug, a little bit of hesitation, but he does realize the rest of the side of AHQ are starting to roam down the river, and I think we're starting to see a bit of the communication here, because, you know, Kino and Atlan really wanted to go in on that possible kill, but you had Catjug just pinging like a mad lad saying, don't go for it, don't go for it.
Yeah, and I think it's due to the fact that Alpha did not heavy. Oh!
Gonna go for a dive underneath the tower. Catjug is gonna get stunned up, but there's the kill. Able to find it. Goes into the rewind, and there you are. Catjug able to secure himself a double kill. Kanye, though, coming down the jungle. Unfortunately, Kino gets himself into the alcove and finds himself some safety. Catjug wants to get a bit aggressive. Assassin's also here. Does get tagged by the bubble. You see him package the nope out of there. So there we go. 2 kills going in favor of Alpha as they are able to continue the dive.
That's what we're talking about. That's what Catjug wants. Especially, you know, Wako didn't have the support. Sport went golden. And nice tower juggle by Kino. Just at the edge of the tower range. Eat up a little bit. And the axe didn't exactly hit anyone for that slow. And therefore, HQ not able to exchange anything off of that fight that Alpha started.
There we go. Infernal's also going to be starting up in about a minute 30. We're also starting to see the first items come online, especially for Alpha, so we're getting ourselves a little bit of a spike there as the glaive is already finished there by Atlan. Also has his next serrated. So he's going to get a decent amount of lethality. Catjug is already starting to work his way toward his proto belt. Black Cleaver online for Rock as well, and he gives control over to this Rift Herald. A decent amount of damage coming out there on Kino. He's got to be careful as Wako and Ysera both have their own combo again. Atlan, Paddle Star does connect, and the issue has always become, can he stay safe during these fights? Fill comes back out into the pit. Catjug does have it. Flash forward coming out from Ysera though, and now it's going to force a stun jump. Catjug goes into his ultimate, able to get over to the side of the wall for the flash, and that is Rift Herald secured on the side of AHQ.
That is unfortunate because they were supposed to be the ones managing to get pokes here and there at objective fights, but Uniboy can just do it better than Atlan right now in his current position in the game. And especially Luden's already completed for Uniboy. That is going to be if now that hurt, it's going to hurt even more, especially for the squishies, Atlan and Assassin.
Still out, it's about 1,000 gold lead here for Alpha. Assassin down in the bot lane has a 3-level advantage over Wako, by the way. Wako does at least finish off his Essence Reaver and is going to start working toward his Infinity Edge. So that's when we see the next kind of spike here on the side of AHQ, as it has been a bit of the Ysera show so far in this game. Being the one that always wants to find the engages, being the one to flash forward on the Catjug to prevent him from taking the Rift Herald, and has been able to keep the game rather close here for AHQ.
And that's what we were worried about at game number 1. Even though Kongya was on that Olaf, no one had the capability to actually start a fight. And now that problem has been formed or solved in the form of Ysera here on this Leona pick.
Go, engage goes on to Civ immediately. Bullet time is going to rain, but unfortunately not able to hit anyone as now the engage comes out. Ysera going down low, and Catjug is able to find his target, ends up going into his ultimate immediately. Kino, though, Civ is able to find his target. Battlestar does connect Rock, though, wants to finish off the Mordekaiser and gets the reset on this Aatrox. Maybe getting a little bit too aggressive here. Now Kongya going to pop his ultimate. Going to be a trade 1-1 flash forward coming out from Assassin. Tetlin able to find his target, and Alpha able to continue this fight, looking to hunt down Uniboy, not able to find it. It's still going to be a 3-4-2 in favor of Alpha.
Where are the kills going? That is the question. So far, it was Ziv that managed to get a few kills in that fight. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this again. It was Kino that started this, as Ziv has been chunked to half HP, but at this point, the fight is split into 2, with Ziv distracting Atlan and as well as Kino. In the meantime, Catjug and Assassin keeping Uniboy, Kongya, and Wako busy, but at that point, Ziv was outnumbered because Rock entered the fight with World Ender.
And we're starting to see, again, glimpses of what succeeded for Alpha during the regular season. Again, this team was able to finish 5th overall in the standings, but they were able to find themselves very close games against AHQ because they were always able to contest them in the mid-game of the map. And now Assassin currently leading the gold chart as, oh, that's a little unfortunate. The red buff just taken back there by Rock, as not even Wako is going to be able to secure that.
That's gonna be very painful for AHQ, especially when the next objective comes, or maybe even getting this tower defense done. Alpha already making their way towards this mid lane, perhaps wanting to break that rather. And now you can see Uniboy opting for a little bit more defensive now, considering that there's a lot of dive. You saw Rock there. There's still no answer to at least the thick heals coming from the Aatrox, especially for later. Especially when we see a lot of respect on Aatrox players, they see an early pickup on at least that executioners, but for now they'll focus on these damage items.
And you saw Civ though, he's able to become a bit of a menace on this Mordekaiser, as he'll be active as that front line. He can lock down one member, is now going toe-to-toe here with Assassin. Has to actually blow his proto belt to get a little bit of safety, and Assassin will be able to get some decent chunk damage, especially off a big 1 proc. Catjug also roaming down toward the bot lane, so that's going to force him to have to play back safe. It looks like it'll be a trade for the first tier towers on the top and bot side of the map here for both squads, as they continue positioning themselves like this.
Yeah, and for Assassin, he's definitely comfortable, knowing that he's already completed his Triforce. He has package for that double Valkyrie, at least whenever someone decides to go dive him. But for now, it is going to be just Ziv there at the bot side of the map, and even Kongya close to death, actually, as Rock is also in the same situation as well.
Yeah, Kongya, though, popped his ultimate, trying to at least maybe go for a kill, but he wasn't able to find it. So in the end, Alpha gets themselves a tower in bot lane. Maybe even going to look for a little bit more here underneath the tower, as the phase dive is able to shred that down, and that's another tower picked up here on the side of Alpha.
This is actually very reminiscent of what they've done in game number 1. Make sure that if AHQ decides to pour resources in another portion of the map just to try and siege, then don't allow them to get that exchange, and therefore Alpha managed to get the better end of the deal, considering they've managed to get first tower at bot side and as well as mid. So for Alpha, really commend that they're stepping back a little bit from what they've done successfully in game number 1.
Another Infernal is going to be spawning in about 2 minutes, so it's just going to give a little bit more damage over to Alpha, and they're going to hit a really nice spike point here in about 10 minutes where they'll actually be pretty much in full control, especially if they can continue to secure the Infernal Drakes, because then you'll have your 3 to 4 item lethality Varus, where he's going to be able to do just massive chunks of damage to the Zoe or possibly even the Misfortune, as well as Catjung being able to dive on the backline. It really does require, though, for Alpha, though, to at least get onto these primary targets. If they're not able to, then they're going to have some difficulty trying to at least take down something like a Mordekaiser that's going to be acting as that frontline carry.
Yeah, they gotta pull the trigger quickly or else they're gonna get poked out!
There we go, instantly a hook, and that's the rest of the team engaging upon Kino. Pops the stone plate to get a little bit more tanky. Rock, though, looking for the flank, and Waco is gonna get taken down, and there you go, that's 2 members taken as AHQ start running back underneath their tower. Civ is gonna pop his ultimate, going for the toe-to-toe against Assassin. Assassin needs to actually auto-attack back, there he goes! Woo! And unfortunately, Civ bit off a little bit more than he could chew. And there it is, 3 kills for 1 in favor of Alpha.
I say that's a pretty good deal, considering that's Assassin getting a ton of kills, and as well as for Catjug, and a ton of assists as well for the side of Atlan. And with that said, we did mention that they need to pull the trigger now, and that's the reason why they place a lot of priority over this Nautilus, because it's going to be that bridgeway to just start the fights. And they caught up Isera. You see a lot of the damage focusing more on Isera, but it doesn't matter because Rock and Catjug are just distracting Uniboy as much as they can.
Unfortunately there, like, I'll give it to Civ, he tried his hardest, but I'm actually shocked Assassin didn't just kill him immediately, and there you go, that's the power of this Corki now that he has that stacked up tier, as well as now working toward his Infinity Edge, and it wouldn't be a Catjug game if it wasn't a Soul Stealer Rush now also coming out on his Echo.
Yeah, 9 stacks already for Medjai's Proto Belt as well completed. And I really like this for Atlan. This Yeoman's pickup is really good considering that Kino will be on engage duty, therefore would leave Atlan in a very defenseless position. So the extra movement speed will allow him to reposition, and they get a reward as well after that fight. After this dragon, they're on their way for that Dragon Soul if they manage to win another fight.
And it's a 5,000 gold lead, and for Alpha, it seems they've been able to regain composure after losing in that second game. And Kino looking for a play, another ultimate extended there, and immediately they just pile in onto Ysera. That's also ultimate going down. The shutdown is there. Uniboy coming over toward the side. Alpha getting a little bit too aggressive, and AHQ are able to run it back. Assassin also getting caught out, and now Rock is trying to make a hero play. He should have backed off at this point. Assassin has nowhere to run, and AHQ are able to cash in on so many shutdowns, and the game is now back toward an even state.
That was such an interesting turn of events. Oh, nice sidestep coming from Rock. Managed to dodge a lot of the bubbles, but that doesn't matter. This enables Baron. That is going to be Rock having teleport, but I don't think he can do much to just go to the Baron and walk toward this area.
And if you had to say there was a throw hole, Alpha had this game in their hands. They had the advantage. At this point, you don't actually hit the target. You might as well back up. Atlan started pathing back toward his minions.
And you bring that communication issues again where they may not be on the same page. And what's interesting here is that usually you concede after losing 2 members, maybe even 1. But unfortunately, this was actually a 2v5 that Alpha called. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cash and golds, shutdown golds rather, being acquired by AHQ.
Decent amount of shutdowns you saw there, so game kind of gets back into a bit of an even state here. Now Alpha have to at least try and clear out some of these Baroned up minions. Luckily for them, They aren't going to be losing an inhibitor tower or anything off this unless they go for another not smart play in the mid lane, possibly. Don't quote me on that one. That does mean for AHQ, if they're able to knock down some of these out-of-tier towers, that gives them back a little bit of the gold as they've been able to equal out that 5,000 gold deficit. Rock getting aggressive,
yeah, exactly.
gets the hook immediately into another bullet time, and I've seen this one before. Again, Alpha keep going for fights they do not need to go for at all at any point. Catjug is going to go back into his ultimate, being tracked down, gets himself to safety, but AHQ are starting to break the armor that is Alpha at this point. Uniboy going in for the 1v1, finishes off the Echo, and it is starting to look like a disaster.
Alpha had it. Alpha had the advantage. You said 5k gold lead at that point, and all just came crashing down after that 5v5 that they really wanted to make sure that they, at least after investing so much, get one kill out of that. Unfortunately, it's just spiraling out of control. Now, I guess the redeeming factor that they at least have is, at this point, they have Dragon Soul coming up next for them if they manage to get a sneaky pickup.
But again, fighting in these little choke points around your turret, maybe not the smartest when you're going up against a Misfortune. And we talked about it before. If they're not able to burst down Uniboy or Wako at any point, or even poke him out before the fight even begins, they're going to have difficulties like this.
And yeah, it's been seen. I mean, it's apparent, considering that Catjug's duty here in the composition in general is either tag along with Rock and make sure that the backline is distracted. I am, for Alpha, gotta get that in-game reset after those two unfortunate fights that they had to encounter and prepare themselves for the Dragon. Considering that's gonna be Infernal, at least gonna have a bit of added damage for themselves. Especially for AHQ now. They have 10 stacks on Uniboy, on Medjai. Catjug lost his stacks earlier. Baron already expired, so that's something at least for Alpha. They can get a little breathing space before a few seconds of this Infernal Drake to spawn.
Assassin, you just saw them. Why are you staying at this tower? Assassin now has to blow his flash if he wants to get to safety. There was absolutely no reason for him to stay, considering the fact that he had vision in the river, and HQ are able to get an easy pick.
And what is the exchange here? That's another set of kills, control over bot side, which means this is going to be Dragon Soul denied away from Alpha. And for HQ, they'll happily take this one, as this will be their second Dragon. And Alpha gonna result to a split push.
Catjug's gonna try and at least maybe take an inhibitor tower alongside Rock, but oh no. This is not what you needed to happen, Alpha. Alpha had such a set-up perfect plan that, to be honest, is rather easy to execute. He saw on his mini-map that there was an Olaf heading his way. What can you expect? I don't understand this from Assassin.
Was that a distraction play, perhaps? But they were already there in that area. So, unfortunately, it could be more on tunneling in the lane, or perhaps thinking of the next move in mind. Good news, at least for Alpha, they have QSS already for Assassin, just in case Ysera gets another surprising jump. Void Staff completed for Catjug, so that's going to be a little bit painful, although you do want more of those stacked up AP on your side to take advantage with your pen. Kong has Guardian Angel, so now with Alpha, if they had a hard time eliminating targets in the past two fights, then they're going to have an even greater in a sense that it's not so great for them.
Here we go, back to top lane. AHQ able to knock down the tower up in top lane. With that, claim about a 2,500 gold lead. Infernal going to be starting at about 3 minutes, 3.5. AHQ are not slowing down on this top side push. They want to get a little bit aggressive, and we talked about the fact that they're able to find a good swing fight in their favor, 1 or 2. They're able to pick up a lot of standing gold on the map. They went from 0 turrets to now 4. And Assassin is defaulting to the playstyle that we saw last game when Alpha started to deteriorate, where he just stays in a side lane trying to push and then tries to come in for a teleport later.
Yeah, and I think that would be the play in mind. I guess the good thing as well with Assassin and as well as with Atlan, they have really nice wave clear to slow down the bleed a little bit. But that's 12 stacks on Uniboy at the moment, and he's gonna be comfy doing these sieges as Alpha will get poked out eventually. And you have Isera as well for that, you know, ult towards that dive. So for Alpha, they're hoping to keep pushing the wave so it doesn't reach to that point.
Assassin's gonna go ahead and clear out the control ward. Sitting on now his 3.5 items, also picked up a QSS to try and avoid a bit of the CC that's going to come out from Isera on this Leona. Atlan also has this cleanse available. Just going to go back into the side lane push that we've seen time and time again from Alpha. Assassin has that package to try and get himself to safety.
That's double, speaking of safety, that's double safety for Kongye. Guardian Angel and a stopwatch. And that is, they're really primed and ready to get this Baron fight going. And it's all up to Isera to start the fight, or for Alpha to pull that first trigger, and then they can be reactive.
Kino getting caught out here toward the side. Ultimate is used by Civ. He wants to try and burst down Kino before the fight can even start around this. Baron has to try and find himself the safety. Kino's burning, but he will survive. Catchuk tries to go in for a flank with his ultimate. Civ goes extremely low. Not gonna fall though, as Atlan's ultimate missed him by just a couple pixels. And luckily for Alpha, they don't lose much else. If they did lose Kino, there goes your main form of engage onto the backline of AHQ. So Civ is starting to become a scary monster on this Mordekaiser.
Exactly, Leander's already completed, even building a little bit more of the MR against most likely with the rest of the team, as Kajug was just waiting for the right timing earlier in the Baron pit. Spotted out Uniboy, but you can see that the burst is still not there because he really wanted to bank on the stacks. He was 8 stacks earlier. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as they were wiped. And at this point, at least there's a little bit of defense for Atlan's side. Edge of Night against Uniboy. So that's something at least for defense on this squishy Varus.
Uniboy also on this Zoe. He's starting to become a bit of a hassle here for the side of Alpha. They've not been able to really lock him down at any point during this game, as he's currently sitting on 12 stacks with the Magi's. 3-0-5. Atlan at least has his Edge of Night complete, so he has a little bit of safety, but we're getting to that point where Lethality Varus is going to feel like he's going to start slowing down now that we have hit the 35-minute mark. Assassin, ooh, buddy. Pops the rocket in, realizing somebody's in the brush. Call here, though, maybe from Alpha to try and bait in a possible Baron. 2 seconds on Infernal. Alpha have no control on the bot side of the map, so they cannot go for the Soul. They're going to lose out on another objective because they just don't have any map pressure.
And Kapjuk is at top side too, so he's just really far away from the Infernal. And at that point, this is the default scenario where if things just don't go well for Alpha, Kajug would go for this lone wolf and try to split push and power farm and take something away from AHQ in the form of either camps or towers. Unfortunately, with this though, AHQ is 1 dragon away from that Infernal Soul as well. So the next dragon fight for 4 minutes or so will be detrimental for Alpha in particular.
And this is something that has driven me crazy with Kajug, is he knows he's the jungler. And he's done this now multiple times where he goes into this lone wolf style of play where he's going to go ahead and split push on a side lane. But he split pushes the side lane completely across the map from the objective. AHQ are able to answer to this Baron attempt from Alpha. They can't burn it down fast enough because you don't have an on-hit Varus that's going to be able to shred it down. You got Lethality Varus. Your composition isn't set up for this. Sure, you got a bit of crit that's going to come out from the Corki, but the AHQ are going to have now full pressure through the mid lane as Alpha are going to try and scramble to try and clear out the wave.
Exactly, and you see this is a 3-item Wako, already has Infinity Edge. And therefore the bullet time is going to be extra painful at these choke points, at these Baron pits. So for Alpha, they have to be very careful. We'll have to see as they manage to poke down a little bit and clear down the wave.
Well, back it goes, AHQ. Get positioned back toward the Baron. 3.5 minutes on the Infernal. Again, loser here, eliminated from spring playoffs. AHQ, one of the seeds at the World Championship last year for the LMS region, now facing the possibility of being knocked out before they even get into the lower bracket final of spring after coming second overall in the standings from the regular season. As Alpha have been able to cause mayhem, but they've been shaky and have had mayhem within their team roster as a whole. When it comes to communication, when it comes to decision making, it's been rash. As CatJug's going to go back to base. Package picked up here for Assassin as he hits a level 18.
Is this the time? Is this where Alpha pulls the trigger? Banshee's completed for CatJug, so at least that's a little bit more defense against Uniboy once he attacks. For later, Maw for Wako as well, so that's just a lot of anti-magic, especially targeted to CatJug. So this is going to be extra tough to get assassination kills on this Echo pick.
They're kind of hoping for what happened in Game 1, where Assassin can maybe get a package onto the backline, maybe try and burst Wako. CatJug sitting toward the side. They got to get some poke down, but unfortunately there's not a whole lot they can do. Infernal Soul now in 2 minutes for either one of these teams if they decide to go for it.
And that's the problem. Eventually the package will expire and you will not be able to use that for that dragon take, and that is quite unfortunate. So now Bubble
does connect. Assassin has to use his package. Soft cooldown. Civ looking for a flank here. He's going to show himself. Assassin pretty far forward. Grasp is not going to drag him back. Civ was looking for it, but now inside track toward the Dragon Pit if AHQ wish to establish some vision. Baron is still on the table though, and that's kind of the question here is, does AHQ feel comfortable giving over a Baron or vice versa? Either one of these squads feel like they can actually withstand a Baron push.
And that's 1 minute before the next dragon is spawned. You're right, what is the choice here for Alpha? Do they want to get control more on this Baron? As that is going to be the reset for AHQ. No vision, though, on the side of AHQ on this Dragon Pit. So for Alpha, do you want to reset now? Do you want to go back to base? They're still pretty much healthy. Most likely not enough yet to complete some of their items in their kit. And now they seem to have more control as AHQ marching back towards mid lane.
CatJug, very scary to be in a side lane right now. He ended up getting back to the base. As AHQ start to head toward the Baron. CatJug looking for possibly a teleport play. That might be the plan here, as he's going to go back to base. Oh, AHQ, they're playing naughty. Does Alpha see this? They're going to see Kongi now show himself, so they got to assume that Uniboy or Civ is just around the corner. So wave gets cleared out once again. 40 minutes on the clock in this Game 3. Looks like we're going to come down to a final team fight decider as Infernal Drake is now spawning.
Assassin moving forward once more. Nice poke, though, coming from Alpha. They're going to be in this same choke point from game number 2.
Saw CatJug, he was looking for a possible flank. They got a decent amount of damage on Konyu. Uniboy over the wall. It's going to be Kino tagged by the bubble. Alpha have position. In goes Isera over the wall. CatJug is going to be the main target. It goes on over. Infernal is secured, but CatJug gets immediately taken down. Alpha have to start running back if they don't want to lose out on this game. Isera wants to find the Zenith Blade, not able to find it. And Alpha are able to secure Infernal Soul. CatJug, though, does go down before he can even use his ultimate.
Okay, so they have the Infernal Soul. They can poke it out and deal damage in a way that is so going to be juicy, especially when they're all together.
AHQ, though, they can rip apart this Baron very fast. Alpha are deciding they have to try and make this play here. It's a decent amount of damage. They need to back off immediately. Civ is able to get on top of Kino. Yasera, though, is going down low. Civ is still not able to finish off the kill, but in comes the rest of the damage from Uniboy. Kino is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Wako trying to go forward. He's able to find it. Atlan uses his ultimate so late in the fight that Uniboy is able to get on top of him, and AHQ, they may have given over the Infernal Soul, but they're able to find the sweep and the ace in their favor as they now look toward Alpha's base.
after losing the first game in such an interesting manner, it seems to me AHQ has managed to awaken from their slumber.
Catjug, why are you even trying this at this point? He's going to get taken down, and it's going to be scattered, delayed respawns, and AHQ able to find the final fight in their favor after giving up Infernal. They'll move on into our next bracket as Alpha will be eliminated from the playoffs.
And there we go. It looked a little bit shaky in this series at the beginning, but you know, HQ managed to pick themselves up, read what Alpha's plan is, and just played with their compositions. And you know what? Welcome back, Beauty Boy, in this Zoe pick.
Oh, I have words for Alpha. I have words for Alpha. Alan, why are you not using your ultimate until then during the fight? I don't understand. That ultimate goes out like that. That is a Baron that necessarily that I don't think Alpha need to contest. It's not end of the game at that point. You end up losing any members there, that game is done. That is then going to be an immediate push coming out from AHQ. You could honestly just try to poke and maybe get one member, but the fact then that they fully committed to a little bit of a fight, and Kino's just said, let me go, let me die, but the rest of the squad wanted to try and make up a kill. I don't understand it.
I mean, it was understandable considering there were a lot of low health targets, and I think they got excited because they have that Infernal Drake soul. So therefore, okay, this is perfect. They're going to be in just one clustered area. We're perfect for this composition. We built lethality on this virus. We have the quirky pokes. But unfortunately, there was a little bit of hesitation, and you can tell because Rock didn't still go all in to be that distraction for the rest of the members of AHQ. And I feel like there were a lot of half and half decisions when it comes to the entire series in general.
Oh yeah, you even saw right there, the team was just indecisive. They didn't really want to go for this, and then it ends up costing them so much when they are indecisive. If they just decide to back off on any of these fights, this game could have easily went in their favor. So not the game they're looking for, as it is going to be Alpha just falling there. AHQ keep themselves alive.
Yeah, they're making their way. They're climbing back from the lower bracket, especially they got knocked out by Talon. They had to go through this series, which a lot of the broadcast team expected it to be a 2-0, but Alpha really gave them a hard time. Unfortunately for Alpha, they are eliminated today, and that game number 3 was just very close to the point that I really thought that AHQ were to fall down. And at that point, that replay from earlier was the turning point of this match in particular.
Yeah, because like it honestly looked like this could have been a series that Alpha took, and I think for AHQ, I don't know what it is. It just seems like the best of series are just a bit taxing for them, it seems here, as they've now been forced to go the distance 2 times back to back, and they seem to look shaky. They seem to be unable to either close out series, or even then, they seem to have slow starts at times. So I'm not sure what's going on with AHQ. Maybe they're just, you know, one-shot wonders when it comes to a best-of-1 format, but when it comes to playoffs, they play it on the edge. I'll tell you that. They give you heart attacks watching them.
Yeah, it's insanely close, and considering, again, this is the top 2 team versus the top 5 team in the PCS rankings for at least the round robin, and they looked, again, a little bit shaky and not exactly a very solid story for them when it comes to the series. It's always going to be a complete mystery because sometimes they get these compositions but trap themselves in towards the draft. And I think we saw that in their first series against Talon. I feel like that could be a weakness in this particular playoffs.
Yeah, so with that, Alpha is going to be watching the rest of the spring split from home, unfortunately, as they are eliminated from contention in the playoffs. AHQ are able to keep themselves alive, and that means they will be actually playing in the losers semi-final bracket that's going to be taking place in about 2 weeks' time on the Saturday of our grand finals weekend. They will then have to run the course if they wish to take that victory there, and then go up against Talon up next, so they'll get to have a bit of a salty run back if they really want to. But for Alpha, for a lot of us here, we actually considered them lower mid-tier when it comes to our predictions at the beginning of the split. Not a whole lot of people knew exactly where to put them, and it heavily always relied on the fact that it was Cat Jug and Assassin. And to be honest, good alpha, I think they are actually up there when it comes to possible teams that can do very well. But when they are miscommunicating, when they are what looks to be arguing, it has to be something along these lines where people are, you know, making calls from another one. No one has a clear shot call when it comes onto this roster, and they need to really sort that out for summer.
And I think the best that they've looked is definitely the first game, where they weren't very excited to get towards kills. Like, they see a target, they aren't trigger happy. But for game number 3, they had a 5k gold lead. They weren't able to maintain that and actually were excited. You know, I felt the excitement because they're the type of team, especially during the first few rounds of the PCS, they wanted to snowball, and they wanted to make that snowball in game 3. Unfortunately, AHQ is really good at punishing certain mistakes like that.
Yeah, so AHQ, they're able to find their openings, and they're able to, like you mentioned, punish when Alpha gets a little bit too aggressive there, or when they're a little bit scattered. It's unfortunate to have to say it for this team, because I think there was a lot of potential with this roster. We had Cat Jug and Assassin who came together from the LDL on this roster, and they looked very promising at times. Cat Jug, arguably, when he's good, he's one of the best junglers in the league mechanically. His decision-making, though, sometimes can be questionable, and there's times where, you know, he's showing himself up in top lane when, you know, Saul's just getting taken by AHQ. We've had that a couple of times, so I think decision-making, maybe it comes down to the coaching. Who knows? Something's got to change, and they'll have a couple of weeks, hopefully, before summer to try and iron out those issues, to try and fix things up. That's not our only series, though. When it comes to tonight, we, of course, have Hong Kong Attitude taking on Berjaya Dragons. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, though, it's going to be our second series and our final one of the weekend.